first-time homebuyer tips and advice. Thanks so much for joining me today. I am Jeff, the Mortgage Pro. Today we're going to be talking about first-time homebuyer tips and advice. I'm going to give you some different ideas on what it's like to buy your first home, where you should start, where you should finish, and anything in between. And we're going to kind of break it down into a step-by-step process here. There's a lot of anxiety in trying to buy your first house. It is going to be most likely the largest purchase you've ever made, which is going to be to buy a property. You're going to be borrowing hundreds of thousands of dollars in most instances, and you're going to owe a lot of money. But once you get past all of that, it's really very rewarding. And I fully believe that a mortgage and a home and real estate can help you build wealth over time. And my job is going to be to help you fit that mortgage into your short-term and long-term financial goals to help you create that wealth over time. We're going to give you some different ideas when you work with us here at Jeff, the Mortgage Pro. So let's just jump right in here. The first thing that you want to do when you're going to get ready to buy a house is to find your loan officer. And I would recommend that you look for a mortgage planner or a mortgage advisor, somebody like myself, who's going to go a little bit deeper than just a transaction taker. They're going to ask different questions. We're going to go beyond what's just on the mortgage loan application. We're going to ask things about what your future may look like. And we're going to help you integrate that mortgage into your overall financial plan so that you can generate wealth over time using your mortgage. So number one, go out there and find your mortgage advisor. I would be happy to help you, and I would be honored to help you. So if you don't know anybody, then please make sure that you feel free to reach out to me in that sense, okay? Step number two is for you to determine your monthly budget. And what I want you to do with this is really break it down. I want you to get a spreadsheet. I want you to figure out how much income you bring in every single month and what are the sources of that income. Is it through a job? Is it through investments? Is it through, something else? Do you have a part-time work? Do you have a side hustle? Where does all your income come from? And then write that down on a spreadsheet. Or you can use one of the popular apps like Mint or Quicken or things like that to help you determine what your monthly income is. And then on the other side, what I'd like you to do is look at your monthly expenses. So not just housing related expenses, things that we would look at on a mortgage loan application, but things like debts and liabilities. So credit cards that you pay, auto loans that you pay, student loans you pay, those are all things that we would look at for a mortgage, but also like how much does your TV cost? How much do you pay for water? How much do you pay for gas and electricity? How much do you pay for food? Let's really get granular here and break down your monthly budget. And the reason why I want you to do that is because I want you to figure out how much you are comfortable with in spending on a mortgage. And when we get you through the mortgage pre-approval process, what we're going to do is we're going to determine the maximum amount of loan that you can qualify for based on our guidelines and our qualifications. But what I find is that just because you qualify for a certain loan amount doesn't mean that you're comfortable paying that monthly payment on that particular loan. So it's super important to determine kind of what your budget is before you actually even after you've talked to a mortgage advisor like myself, but really break it down so that you have a really good picture of what that looks like. Now, there are advantages to having a mortgage, especially on the tax side of things. I am not a tax advisor, so I will not advise you on that, but make sure that you do talk to somebody who is qualified to help you out on how a mortgage or points will help you reduce your income taxes that you pay. So there are definitely benefits to owning versus renting. So you may need to stretch your budget just a little bit, but not a ton in some instances, okay? The third thing that you need to do is optimize your credit. And we were in such a really low interest rate environment over the last several years. And now the interest rates in 2022 here, while I'm finishing this video, is through the roof for the most part. They went up significantly over the last 8-12 months. And that means that the cost of ownership has accelerated and gone a lot higher really fast. So what you need to do in order to get the best mortgage rate that you can qualify for, and to do that, you're going to need the very best credit that you can get. So a mortgage algorithm, when it looks at credit, is going to look at two things mostly. It's going to look at your proportion of your balances to your credit limits, and it's going to look at your payment history for being on time. So we really, really want to focus on time payment history. That should be a given if you're going to get a loan on the mortgage side of stuff. And then with your credit balances to your credit limits, you want to try to minimize those as much as possible. If you're under 50%, that's good. If you're under 30% of the credit utilization, that's really good. And then optimally, what we want to do is make sure that we pay those off every month. So if you were to have let's say a $10,000 credit limit, if you had a $5,000 on that $10,000 credit limit, that's 50%. If we wanted to get it under 30%, we want to make sure that your balance is under $3,000 out of the $10,000. And then ultimately, if we were at 0%, we would have no balance on that credit card because we pay it off every single month. So those are the two biggest factors in a mortgage credit algorithm that determines what your credit score is. So work on those things first. If you do need some other ideas on what to do, you can always reach out to a mortgage advisor who looks at credit every single day. You do not need to go to a credit repair company and spend hundreds and sometimes thousands of dollars to have them, mess up your credit even more. That's just my opinion. So make sure that you reach out to your mortgage person if you do need to improve on your credit score. Number 4 is that you need to save money so you can have cash to close. And notice how I didn't say down payment only there, because when you buy a house, there's also other costs associated with buying the house, and those are called closing costs. Sometimes the seller has some fees that they have for you. Sometimes the buyer or the lender has different fees that they need to charge you. The escrow company has fees that they need to charge you. The real estate agent has fees that they need to charge you. So there's everybody's going to make money in a transaction, and that's why there's different costs associated with closing on a piece of real estate. So make sure that you have enough money for down payment and closing costs. And in a healthy environment, I always like to see several months of reserves built up, whether it be in savings or retirement accounts, so that if you really, really need to dig into that extra money, it's available out there for you and you can go out there and get it. And that's in a really, really good situation. So make sure you have enough money for cash to close, not just the down payment. If you have any other debts and you have extra cash laying around, make sure you pay those balances down almost to zero if you can. One of the things that I see often is car loans or student loans. It's okay to have those, and your mortgage advisor can definitely determine if you need to pay those off or pay those down before you get a mortgage, and help determine what your qualifying power will be going forward if you do pay those down. But they're not always necessary. But in reality, if you have the opportunity to pay off those debts, I always like you to do so if you do have the money. Number 6 would be to understand your different loan options that you have. There's different types of loans. We have what's called government loans. Those are backed by, those are called VA loans or FHA loans or USDA loans. So VA loans are Veterans Affairs loans. That means that you're a veteran of the U.S. military. FHA loans, Federal Housing Authority. So if you are loan down payment or not as credit qualified, you want to get an FHA loan or look into that option. And then if you live in a rural area, you can also get a USDA loan. So those things are all backed by the government. They do have usually better than conventional interest rates, but they also come with different fees and mortgage insurance type things as well, if you need them. The other types of loans out there, we have jumbo loans, which are for larger loan amounts, and typically you're going to need bigger down payments for those. And then the most common one that I see is a conventional loan, and those are anywhere from 3% down for certain income qualified programs, but usually a minimum of 5% down if you're going to do a conventional loan. But those are the most common out there. And step number 7 is for you to go out there and find a real estate agent. And I can help you with this. I do have artificial intelligence that lets me figure out how many transactions a buyer's agent has done. The most important thing in finding a real estate agent is to find somebody that you trust, but you also want somebody that has experience, somebody that's actually closed transactions that can help negotiate on your behalf and who knows the local market really well. So if you have somebody, then go ahead and use them. If you don't have anybody, always make sure that you reach out to us because we can help you out with that in terms of finding a real estate agent that's qualified to help you purchase your home. And then the last 2 steps are kind of what the real estate agent is going to ask you. They're going to ask you to figure out what type of a home do you want to buy, Is it a single family home, a condo, a townhome? Is it a multi-unit property? Is it a duplex or a triplex or a fourplex? Those things all qualify for residential home financing. Is it a manufactured home or a mobile home? Or even lastly, is it a new home or new construction home? It just depends on what you want. I mean, do you want maintenance on a yard, or do you want no maintenance on a brand new property that you buy? And in terms of new construction, it's all up to you. And those are the things that need to be determined what you're looking for in your particular market that you're looking for a home. And then lastly, you want to determine your needs list. How many bedrooms and bathrooms do you need? What type of a kitchen do you want? Do you want a yard or no yard? Do you want granite countertops in your kitchen, or do you want something that you could upgrade later? Do you want, certain high-end appliances, or do you care what the appliances are? Do you have heating or cooling system needs depending on where you're buying at in the United States? And then, do you need a garage? Do you need multiple garages? Do you need a barn? I don't know. There's several different things that you want to determine with your real estate agent to help you out when you're going to go out there and buy your first home. And that's about it. So any questions at all, please feel free to reach out to me. Those are the first time homebuyer tips, and I look forward to chatting with you really soon.